Inside of the Frontier, there's only a single engine choice that's available, and it's the 3.8 liter V6. Naturally aspirated, but it pushes out 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque. Here's the thing, the truck doesn't have the option for a sport mode, but it does have a manual mode. So you're just gonna be in drive, hit the shifter over to the side, and let's get back up to highway speed, and we'll go in 3, 2, and... Damn! 100. That was actually surprisingly impressive. The benefit, naturally aspirated, you don't have to wait for a turbocharger to spool up, but that was surprisingly good. And the truck that this would really compete against would be the Ford Ranger. The 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine doesn't have as much horsepower, it has a bit more torque. You can easily top up your wiper fluid, there's easy access to the battery, and then changing oil as well. And then the warranty inside of the Nissan world is pretty industry standard. So the basic is going to be a 3-year, 36,000 mile, 60,000 kilometer, with the powertrain getting bumped up to a 5-year, 60,000 mile, 100,000 kilometer. But it's also based off of you taking care of your rides. You want to make sure take it in for regularly scheduled maintenance, regular oil changes to get the best possible life out of this truck. You're spending $30,000, $50,000, $80,000, whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that you protect your investment to get the best possible life out of this thing. I think the front end of the Frontier looks great. I like the way that the grille sits. The matte black finish looks solid. There's a lower part of the bumper that's painted silver. And then you're going to find some tow hooks in the front, along with a front bash plate. So if your plan is to take the truck off-road, you at least go in knowing that that front end is protected. When you look at approach angles, so if you run over rocks and things like that, you are covered off. Technology-wise inside of the ride, you're not going to find the forward sensing system, but there is a front-facing camera as an option. So you will find a full surround view monitor inside of the truck, which is useful if you're going off-road. The lamps inside of the ride, for the most part, are going to be LEDs. But when you get into the entry-level trim, that's just an old-school halogen bulb instead. So LEDs are nice. The front profile looks great. And then you also do have fog lamps down below as well that are wrapped in that same matte black highlight. That's available either 4x2 or 4x4, so rear-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive. Versus in Canada, that 4x4 system is the only option that we've got available. 4x2 is an absolute nightmare in wintertime, so having the 4x4 option, it absolutely would be the way to go if you're in Canada like me or northern states. There are a series of different wheel styles that are available, 17-inch across the board for the actual wheel size, and then the tire profiles are going to depend on the trim level of the ride that you're in. This is the Pro4X, which means that you're looking at these beefy Dynapro AT2 tires. There is the option of getting beadlock capable wheels right from the factory. And the big benefit of those beadlock capable wheels is that if you're airing your tires down because you're going off-road, you don't have to worry about the tread of the tire slipping off the rim of the wheel, which is pretty useful. Inside of the ride, you're also going to find the option for a lift kit right from the factory, along with Nismo suspension. Regardless of the trim level of the Frontier that you're in, you're going to find LED tail lamps, and those lamps have a nice black bezel that are wrapped throughout. And the matte black highlight that was in the front grille also follows through to the back. You've got that Nissan badge with that orange paint that looks so good. And then the Pro4X badge along the right side. Technology-wise back here, there's also the reverse park sensing system along with the backup camera. And then towing inside the Frontier is obviously possible. You've got your 4 and the 7-pin wiring provisions. And then there's also the receiver. The spare tire is located just underneath the truck as well. Towing capacity inside of the Frontier is going to depend on which version of the vehicle that you're in. Are you 4x2 or 4x4? Have you gone for the 5 or the 6-foot bed? Which cabin configuration do you have? So at a minimum, you're just over 6,300 pound towing capacity with your maximum at 6,850 pounds, which is pretty solid. So if you're towing things like boats, trailers, whatever the case may be, you're pretty good for the most part. But if you start nickel and diming your payload capacity and your towing capacity, that's when you're going to have to look at other options instead. because you ideally don't want to tow more than about 80% of your maximum towing capacity. So this might max out at 6,800 pounds, but realistically, you're probably going to want to tow max somewhere in the 5,500 to 5,800 ballpark. So that's something to take into consideration. Payload capacity inside of the Frontier, again, is going to depend on your configuration option. At a minimum, you're at least 1,100 pounds, up to a maximum of around 1,350 pounds. But that's going to depend on your configuration and which options that you've added on, because everything in the truck world has a net weight. The tonneau cover has a net weight. If you add in aftermarket accessories, bed extenders, things like that, that's all going to subtract from your max allowable payload. And that's the same thing if you're towing a trailer as well. So if you're towing a 5,000 pound trailer with a 500 pound tongue weight, that's going to negatively impact your payload capacity by 500 pounds. So those are all numbers that you have to take into account when you're speccing out how you build this truck out. So one thing to consider there. This one, as I mentioned, does have the available tonneau cover. And in order to roll it up, there's a release you're going to pull. And you're going to go. Once you fold it twice, then the next step is to go underneath, and there's a release lever you're going to pull and go up. One more time in order to fully raise it up from there. And then you've also got the flexibility of using the little rails here, so a little stopper, in order to be able to keep this thing up completely. So you'd be able to lock it down into place. Beneficial if you need to have the tonneau cover up because you've got other stuff in the bed of the truck. There are two different bed options that are available. So it's either going to be a 5 or a 6 foot bed from the factory, which is pretty useful. So if you need that longer wheelbase for some bigger things, that's available as an option. One thing that I like about the Frontier is that there is a spray-in bed liner right from the factory. Bed feature-wise though, not gonna find a ton. There's just a little light off to the left-hand side. Off to the right side, there's gonna be a little wall outlet with 400 watt maximum. Filling at fuel inside of the Frontier is done just along the driver's side here. It's an unlocked cover and it does have a capped system. If you're worried about fuel theft, you could always go aftermarket and just get a cover that has a key on it instead. So that's available as an option. And one nice thing is that the minimum manufacturer's recommendation for fuel inside of the truck is just regular gas. So 87 octane is all you need to use. You're not really going to get many performance benefits by going for a higher octane fuel. There is the argument though, if you're putting the truck under heavy load, and this is with any vehicle, so heavy towing, off-roading, whatever the case may be, you might want to use a 91 octane. It's just not necessary. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just an 87. There are a lot of configuration options available for the Frontier. So it's available as the crew cab with the 4 full doors. There's the king cab with the 2 full doors in the front, 2 half doors that swing the opposite way. There's a long wheelbase available too, so you're looking at either a 5 or a 6 foot bed. So there are a lot of configuration options inside of this truck. The side view mirrors in the Frontier are manual folding. There's also a camera mounted underneath. They're heated, and it's also got a blind spot monitoring system. So if somebody enters the blind spot on either side, it's going to highlight there to let you know. There's intelligent access too, so you can push there to either lock or unlock the doors. I'll get to that interior in a second, but this is going to be standard across the board. So you can adjust your side view mirrors, your door locks, and then you've got your window control. I like that pocket styling there that follows through, design-wise inside. You've got some door storage, and this one is the upgraded audio system. There's an available tow mode. You can increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster. There's also the option of muting out all of your notifications for your different safety systems. Turn on or off the bed power. There's a cargo lamp button, turn traction control off, and lock out that electronic locking rear differential. You've got a parking brake there to kick down, your hood release, and these are just the regular carpeted mats inside of the truck. Honestly, absolutely worth it to go for the thermoplastic rubber trays instead. This is going to be a nightmare in the winter time. You've got seats that are power adjustable, so forwards, backwards, up and down, adjust the backrest, multi-way lumbar support. There are a few different types of seating material available, with leather being in this luxury trim level of the ride. You're going to be push button start. Across the Frontier lineup, but look at that. Beautiful interior. All right, so If you want a full walkthrough of the steering wheel buttons, the cluster screen, or the infotainment system, you'll find walkthroughs down below, but you've got a little kind of mixed cluster. So you've got your traditional gauges along the side, and then the middle part here is fully digital, and there are a ton of different screens and settings that are available. You've got basics along the side, so adjusting your sources. There's a volume rocker there, a voice command prompt where you can change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice, etc. And then these are buttons for cruise control. Basics, you've got your stick there, high beams with an auto high beam mode available. The infotainment system here supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is useful. There's factory navigation built in on top of that. It's a straightforward screen. It's nice and simple. Not the fastest screen out there, but pretty easy to use as well. Volume rocker, tuning rocker, there's dual zone climate control. Auto start stop, so that's the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine if you come down to a complete stop. You can toggle it off if that drives you crazy. This is the 4x4 model, so you've got your 2-wheel drive, so your 2 high, 4 high versus 4 low. You're going to be in 2 high the majority of the time. 4 high is for snowy conditions, and then 4 low is useful if you're going off-roading. So off-roading, pulling a boat out of water, heavy towing, things like that, that's where you're going to want to go into your 4 low instead. And then partnered with that is also the electronic locking differential. So very useful to make both of the rear wheels spin at the same time. You've got your basic climate control settings there, heated first row seats, 2 different settings, a heated steering wheel, the beeping that you get as you back up, you can toggle that one off if you want to. There are 2 USB power points, so a USB Type-C and a regular USB that are both data transfer, which is useful. There's a little storage down there, a hand shifter, which is useful. You've got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then when you're in drive, you can move over in order to get to a manual mode instead. So if you wanted to be able to shift gears out yourself, you'd have the flexibility to do it. There are some cup holders there, along with a wireless charge pad. Decent amount of storage space here. This is non-lockable, but the glove box is fully lockable, and there's a good amount of space there. You're going to find a 12-volt power point here as well, and just good styling overall. Like, you've got that same pocket along the side that follows through both sides here as well. I like the style, and there's so much technology you're going to find here. So you've got your camera with a 360 view. You can push in to get to a side view instead there. The quality of the camera, that's something I would definitely like to see improved. It's a little grainy, looks like it's maybe from like the early 2000s. So that's one thing I definitely think should be upgraded. But feature-wise here is good. There's a good amount of space here too. So I'm 6 feet tall, and hold on, let me lower the seat. Okay, yeah, so it's as far down as it's gonna go. And with the seat as far down, overhead, I've got 3 inches of headspace, which, I mean, if you're 6'3", 6'4", maybe a bit taller, you'll be able to fit inside of the truck, but there's a solid amount of space inside of this ride. You've got your assist handle along both the passenger side and the rear side there as well. Overhead, there's typically going to be a manual dimming rear view mirror. This one's got the optional auto dimming, and there's also a garage door opener there. So if you've got one at home, you can easily program it in if you wanted to. There's a sunglasses holder up overhead, basic controls for your cabin lights, and then there's also the option for a little sunroof. So it's not a full panoramic, but you've got that flexibility with it closed. You can push away to open it up. Single button press is most of the way. Secondary press is that last little bit. But that just opens things up so nicely. When it's fully closed like that, you can also push away if you wanted to create a little breeze there. There's an SOS or tow mode available there as well, just in case. From there, you've got your visor, no ticket receipt holder on the outside or the inside. There is a little light though in that vanity mirror. And then this, oh yeah, it stretches out to block most of the sun. You might get a little bit hitting your face, but I wouldn't really say that's anything to be concerned about. Overall visibility inside of the truck, I think, is solid. You might run into some issues there with the pillar, but I don't think it's anything that you're really going to have to be concerned about. The audio inside of this thing is amazing. And that's just the Fender speakers there. The audio setup is pretty solid. I haven't been in a 6-speaker, so there's no real basis for comparison for me. But the 10-speaker, if you're an audiophile, I think you're going to absolutely love it. It's good. I like it. The visibility here as well, like it's solid all around. There's a little storage tray above the dash there too. And hold on, yeah, let's get the seat set up the way that I would traditionally drive. Here we go. And let's hop back into that second row. So this is, like I said, the crew cab configuration. There is the option for the king cab. The doors would swing the opposite way instead. But you've got your basic window control, some storage high and low. Ooh. In the second row here, with the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall, I've got a decent amount of foot space and knee space. Head space with me sitting fully upright is tight. Not even like maybe half an inch of head space there. So not much. I can at least sit back here, which is all right, but I would not want to go on distance trips in the second row because there's no way you can slide the seats forward or backwards. I'm also a bigger guy, but yeah, they're not the most comfortable seats. Middle seat, there's no hump, little hump in the middle. Ooh, so tight, little tight. I can fit in the middle seat though. Not bad. Same thing, I wouldn't want to sit in the middle seat. Well, I wouldn't want to sit in the second row. It's a little tight overall. I mean, look, my knee is like against the one side there. But the middle seat is actually surprisingly comfortable. And that's usually the forgotten seat in most trucks, but this is actually really nice. The cushion's good. Feature-wise back here, you're going to find some power points down there, and those are strictly for charging. So a USB-C, USB Type-A, and then a regular 400-watt wall plug back there too. There's a little map pocket behind the passenger side. There's a little handle along the driver's or the passenger side, and then a handle and a hook along the driver's side there. You're going to find cup holders built into the seat there as well. Definitely need something like a little strap in order to make it easier to pull down if you need it. The anchor points are down there if you have child seats. Top tethers are behind the seats. I'll show you that one in a second. There is also a manual sliding rear window. Useful. And then a little light. Really useful. Nice. But feature-wise back here, that's really about it. There's not too much to the second row, but I mean here, carpeted mats. Like I said, I just go for the thermoplastic rubber trays. It would just make it so much easier to clean down in the wintertime. You know, there's a little tab along the top here you can pull in order to show off that top tether point if you need it. And then there's also a little tab here that you can lift up. And when you do, it's a release in order to be able to get under the seat. So hold on, this is going to be a little tricky. There we go. So underneath, you can see there, because this is the upgraded audio system, you've got your little woofer back there, straightforward. And then, if we were to go to the other side, along the top, pulling that tab, you're going to find a top tether point, so a few there as well. And then there's also the jack stand. So if you wanted to change the tire out yourself, you've got that flexibility. You do have access to Nissan roadside assistance if you needed a hand, but the spare tire's underneath the truck, and then the jack stand is there if you need it. And then there's a little tab along this side too, and then lifting that one up, there we go, is going to show you a little storage area. So not a ton of storage there, but it is available as an option if you want it. So first impressions of the Frontier, it's a pretty solid ride. The handling so far has been pretty good. Do some en route highway handling here. I mean, it's got some power. It does have some power, and one of the benefits of it not being a turbocharged engine, you don't have to wait for the turbocharger to kick in. It's a naturally aspirated engine, so you put your foot down and you're driving. I will say this though, the interior, the cabin, it's pretty noisy. It's not something that you absolutely couldn't live with, but don't go into purchasing a Frontier thinking that it's going to be a ridiculously quiet drive, because it's not. A little bit of a noisy cabin. You are going to find the Frontier either rear wheel drive, so 4x2 or 4x4 instead. In the 4x4 models, there's a selector switch to move between either 2 high, 4 high, or 4 low. And the overall handling that you get inside of the truck, so this is rear wheel drive right now, which realistically, you're gonna be in rear wheel drive the majority of the time. It's just what makes sense when you're driving. If you're in slippery, snowy conditions, you're gonna wanna jump yourself into the 4-wheel drive version instead. And then if you're going off-road, if you're planning on going on trails, things like that, pulling a boat, heavy towing, that's where 4 low is gonna come into play instead. And then looking at the turning radius here, ooh, I'm gonna have to do a 3-point turn for sure. Oh yeah, yeah. Ooh, 3-point turn it, and here we go. Makes sense, it's a truck, so the turning radius is not gonna be the greatest inside of a truck, but no real complaints there. But you can find all of the build details for this specific Frontier down in the description, along with links off to Nissan Canada, US, and then all of the tech walkthroughs down there too. But if you found this useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful, and until I see you next time, take care.